you know, when TV goes horribly wrong, when interviews go horribly wrong, when celebs go raving bloody mad,
when anything goes wrong,
when sex goes wrong, when Lizzie Cundy doesn't have a new outfit on TV. This is the man who creates all of that, and he's
I'm gonna like him. I know
Withington.
I'm gonna like him.
Hello. Gosh, you make me sound like a real ambulance chaser. Wherever there's misery, I'll be there.
Let's be honest.
Oh my God. I can't believe I've made an entire living from other people's misfortune, but I have.
Well, you have.
And I'm still here.
So have we. That's what we've done. Now, I have to explain to everybody watching around the world that that up-and-coming youngster, what is he, 21, 22 now? Yeah.
Plus VAT.
How old is he, really?
I can't, and you don't ask a lady her age, Russ.
You're right. It's been a while. Jess Conrad was meant to be on with Simon.
Well, I'm younger than Jess Conrad.
Well, you say so.
So is Victor Mature, and he's dead. Yes, that's one of Jess's lines.
Victor Mature, one for the kids there. Victor McLagan. Now, John Ford movies. So, Jess is actually ill. He's been ill all weekend, so he won't be coming. I'm sorry.
He's got man flu, but I hope that you'll have him on another occasion.
Of course, we believe will.
I really do, because he was really looking forward to it today.
Oh, this is actually a compliment. Think of it this way: is Simon the modern day Dennis Norden?
Well, Graham, I actually thought that that Russ's intro was slightly Dennis Norden-ish, because you did it in that sort of style. Although Dennis Norden,
that sort of
allegedly never said if you're one of those people. That was it.
Any more than Jim Bowen ever said super smashing lovely grey. It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a myth.
I thought he did. Right, you have got a new. We're going to talk about all your TV stuff in a sec, and thanks for coming on. It's always
Thank you for
a
having
pleasure.
me, Russ.
So, you've got a new book, which is
Jess Conrad.
Hold it up.
Blitz to Glitz.
Hold it up closer, there we go.
Jess
from Blitz
Conrad,
to Glitz.
Oh.
Okay.
So,
Jess Conrad from Blitz.
Jess is a very dear friend of mine, as you know, Russ.
He is.
I've known him for 25 years, and in lockdown, I can't remember how it came about, but somehow I agreed to help him write his book. Which, had I known how long it was going to take, perhaps I would not.
Yes, it's quite an involved event writing a book. We've talked about this already on the show.
It is, yes. All 65,000 words, and finding a publisher and all of that business. So what we did was we started it off with me and a dictaphone. Cue the
gag.
Come on, Longy.
I'm just going to ignore the obvious schoolboy gag.
Exactly. Don't go for the obvious.
No, I use my finger like everyone else. Hey!
Exactly. So I used a dictaphone, and it all came out gobbledygook. And Jess said, well, why have you put this bit here and that bit there? I'm like, well, that's how you sort of said it. So anyway, I thought, the actual only way to do this is for me to type out sentence by sentence as he dictated to me. So that is what I did for 3 years, almost every weekend. It was a labor of love. However, it was a passion project of mine. Not many people can say they've written a book. I mean, Russ, you've got books coming out of your elbow, but
thank God you cleaned that up, but all right.
But not many people have the patience, determination, and sort of skill to be able to put a book together. And I certainly didn't think I would, but I did. But these are Jess's words. I was sort of chief secretary, really. So I did all the stuff like digging out the pictures and giving him dates and things like that. And he'd say to me things like, oh, that hotel at the bottom of Park Lane? And I'd go, oh, the Hilton, no, the restaurant in the hotel, and it would turn out to be Trader Vic's or something. I'd have to do all that research, and it was all like, finding out dates and times and places and names, and just making sure everything was covered off. We'd almost finished the whole thing, and I said to him, "Didn't you tour South Africa with Kathy Kirby in the '60s?" I said, "We're going to have to write about that."
Jesus,
well, he did a Kathy Kirby documentary. I mean, it helped that I knew his career and know his career inside out. I think that was definitely a help, because
can I ask you why? That's a serious question, because it's quite random, isn't it? It was like one of my Patrick Humphreys, who I was at school with. So Patrick and I have been mates since we were 13, 14. And he writes about the Beatles and the Stones and stuff like that. I get that because they're the Beatles and the Stones in the 60s. And he's a fantastic writer. Jess Conrad is quite niche. I can say
quite
that 'cause he's not on the show.
quite niche. But first and foremost, he's a friend. And,
Yes.
and he's been a friend for 25 years.
Yep.
I know the real Jess Conrad. Not many people do. And, you know, beyond the showbiz glitz, there is a person who has real stories to tell. He grew up in the war, which is all outlined in the book. He's seen some terrible things. He's been involved in the criminal underworld before he was a pop star. You know, he's got the image of the kind of boy next door drinking a glass of milk, you know, in a cornfield, as Jack Good once put it. But he's actually been a little bit on the edge of society at various points in his life, mainly the beginning, I should hasten to add, and was going kind of off the rails, really, until showbiz found him. So really, this is a book to me about... It's a showbiz story, first and foremost. There's not very much family in it. It's mainly tales and name dropping, and I met this person and that person and all of that business. I bedded Jane Mansfield. I bedded Ava Gardner.
Whoa. Did he?
Yeah.
Holy
all of that
God.
stuff.
I
Some
like
great
this.
names of Hollywood.
Jane Mansfield.
I know. And the husband called up, who was a Mr. Muscle type guy.
He was.
You know,
he was Hegarty.
Universe.
Yeah,
Hegarty.
he was. Was it Hegarty? Yeah,
something like that.
And who's Jane Mansfield's daughter? Your pop quiz starting for now.
Oh gosh, don't put me on the spot, Russ.
Oh come on, Mr. Showbiz. Who's his daughter? Law and Order.
Oh,
that's her.
Oh, there you go. Laura who? So yes, wrote the book, feeling really good about it. It's published by Oak Tree Books. It's available on Amazon, and it's a really, really good read. And as you can see from, if you're watching this as well as listening to it, it's a really nice book with lots of pictures, and it's a hardback, also available in paperback, and it just is a really good tale of showbiz. And showbiz to me is my first love, and Jess Conrad to me personifies everything that's amazing about showbiz.
There are some people who are no, I'm being quite serious, who are the embodiment of what I call the old showbiz, because most people would look round and go, and I'm not being rude, you know, you go, Alison Hammond, I can't switch on my TV without seeing Alan. There's nothing that she's not. It's incredible. You know, the agent has never heard the word overexposure. I'm sure she's lovely. No. I'm sure she's absolutely, or the word no, Fred Allison isn't available. I mean, it is incredible. And there's very quick burnout. And you think, well, how long have you got? Because with that level of exposure, it's just nuts. And I'm sure she's not. And if I was her, I'd grab every opportunity. Good luck to her. But I mean, you don't see that as the I'm not being rude. You can pick anybody you like, really. You don't think, well, who's the last big showbiz? What have you got? Maybe Anton Deck or something like that. There's not that much that reflects. If you go back to, I suppose, the 70s, really.
I have a colleague that used to work with Mickey Rooney, and I put him in that category of old school showbiz.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there only used to be a few stars. Now there's loads. That's it. That's the problem, basically. There's too many stars now, or celebrities, I should call them. There aren't that many stars, but there are too many celebrities.
There is a difference. That is a key difference. That is a key difference. You put that, very well.
Let me ask. You're right. Let me ask you this, because you are right in the heart. Joking aside, because we've known that child a long time, but your fingers on the pulse. You know this business inside out. The word celebrity is probably now, it's my own personal view, the most pointless word in the English language, along with Peace March, because it's meaningless. You can be on some show, I don't know, Shagging Each Other Island, whatever the hell it's called, and suddenly you're they go, celebrity, and well, I've never heard of them. I don't know, what do they do? Well, they're on TV. Yeah, but what do they do? What's the skill?
Yes, they don't have skills. A lot of people who are famous these days, their skill is being them. And some people are them very well, but other people, are talented and don't find fame and should. So, yeah, but that's showbiz for you. I mean,
You see, somebody like Ryland, who a lot of people are kind of rude about, I saw it was on YouTube, bizarrely. I saw the best interview with Ryland I've ever seen. And I came away, my opinion was completely changed. I didn't realize how smart he was, how bright he was, how self-aware he was. And I didn't realize Ryland's not even his name. And he says, when I'm on, I'm on. And when I switch off, I'm this other guy with a different name, his real name. And he's completely content with that. And I think that's the only way to be. I really do.
Well, he's done amazingly, Rylan, and for somebody that came from a talent show to now be on radio and TV fronting shows, I mean, he's the real sort of success story, really. And Jess actually was discovered because he was an actor, then he was an extra, and then he was seen by a producer called Daphne Shadwell back in the day, who was casting a play called Rockabye Barney, and they wanted somebody to play a pop star. This was before he was a pop star, and because there were only two channels then, everybody watched it, and because he was so darned handsome, everybody said
he was ludicrously
handsome.
I mean, it's one of these things that he's like, some people go, that guy cannot be that good. They're that handsome. It's kind of George Clooney of his time.
Yeah, I feel his pain. I have that problem.
Well, you do. You can't even go out anymore. Ken has to do all your shopping, all of it. You can't be seen in little.
Exactly. So he's got a very similar story of coming from nowhere and being discovered and almost having overnight fame. But the thing that I find remarkable about Jess is the fact that he was famous in the 50s and he's been famous with certain degrees of fame throughout an 8-decade career. He was on Last Laugh in Vegas in 2018 or something.
Was that with Bobby Crush? Bobby Crush.
Bobby
was in there,
I said to him, look, you were on TV, primetime TV in like 1960, and here you are in like 2018, and you're still on primetime TV. It's amazing. Not many people have long careers. It's probably, I think the thing about celebrity is now it's probably easy to find fame because we can all be on a Come Dine With Me or a program like that, or be vox popped on the news. But it's difficult to keep fame
because they have nothing else to offer. They're one-trick ponies. And if it's this sounds sexist, forgive me. If it's some girl who's there in some tiny bikini in one of these shows, right? There's always going to be someone who's a little younger, who's a little prettier, who's whatever it might be. And so you're looking over your shoulder the whole time if you're in that situation, because it's so transparently facile and utterly pointless. But they believe it, don't they? They see, one of the things Neil and I talk about a lot is that their mistake is that when I get the Rolex, when I get the fame, when I get the celebrity, and Neil can describe it much better than me, everything will be great in my life.
It's the I'll be happy when syndrome. But it doesn't work that way. It's get happy first, and then anything else is all gravy. Because if you're not happy and then you suddenly get put in the media spotlight, it will bring up absolutely everything, and does. And that's why we see a lot of mental health issues resulting after people being on shows, because they're thrust into a world which they were ill prepared for. And it's not always the glitz and glamour that people think it is.
And some of these reality shows are exploitative as well, of course. And
the whole Jeremy Kyle thing, I mean, that was exploitation.
it's just, it's something that I've never really been interested in pursuing, that whole reality TV path. I rather have the misfortunate people in my clips who are kind of on board for the ride because they've fallen over and they're there to laugh.
Oh, that's different. People enjoy being involved. It's a subtle nuance, isn't it? But it is a thing. What's your favourite clip? Come on, tell me.
Oh, yeah. Great question.
I'll tell you Dennis Norden's favourite clip, because I was Dennis Norden's producer for the last sort of 4 or 5 years of his ITV career. His favourite clip was somebody being vox popped in a supermarket with a tray of food, and they say, "Are you peckish?" And the guy says, "No, I'm Turkish." And that was his that was his favorite clip. But you can picture Dennis laughing at that one. But I mean, there's so many classics from It'll Be All Right on the Night to me, it was a program that I grew up watching. It was must-see TV. It was 24 million viewers on ITV. It was on at Christmas. Everybody watched it. Dennis was God to me. You know, he was there just sparingly, once or twice a year, because he wouldn't make lots of shows. He wanted to keep the quality threshold high. And he basically was, I think, one of the unsung heroes of TV.
Well, you used an interesting phrase there, and I think there's a lot less of it nowadays, the quality threshold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of the time now,
you're right. What's quality TV?
We'll have some more
I
of
do think
that.
Harry Hill did quite a good job at it with his TV Burp. Did you like Harry Hill? I do.
Oh, love that. Well, Harry Hill is a talent. You know, he's got a talent for comedy, obviously, and for making making something that isn't actually funny. You know, that's the key. That's the thing about Harry Hill. The clips without him are not funny.
I saw him doing his stand-up, Simon, in New Malden. And the first time, I just didn't get it. He was headlining, and I did not get it. And then the second time, I saw he was on again, and then I got it. I just got it. Yeah, and the penny dropped, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I get this.
That's what he's doing. I mean, it's sort of surreal comedy, but he is
to the extreme.
He is the best at it, you know?
Why is it that, this is a difficult question, but I am going to ask it anyway. There are certain people on TV, and you speak to anybody else, they go, I can't stand that person. I'm not going to mention any names. I've got a list. And you think, why, in the name of everything, why are they always being pushed? I mean, you know, there's always the old joke, they must have Polaroids from a Christmas party or something for the executives, because they're just terrible. And they just keep being promoted. I've never understood why. They never listen to the public, do they really? Or do they?
I think that it's really a case of, you know, commissioners being scared about making wrong decisions. And if you've got somebody that you know works, then you use them time and time again. I think that is essentially what it comes down to, because it's not just the talent that are well used, it's the program ideas. There's very few new program ideas, because usually something's described as, well, this is a cross between X and Y, and then you put them together and it becomes Z. So
I was watching Lee Mack. It's really interesting you say that. I was what's it called, 100 to 1 or whatever, I can't remember what the show's called. You get 100 people, you end up with 1%. That's
the 1%
club, right? And I remember years ago, during my years at Capital, that Tarrant, the king of the pilots,
I remember it,
because he was trying show after show after show, and they were all stiffs until they got to Millionaire, which of course the rest is history. Thanks to David Briggs and Tarrant's talent. That Tarrant had done that. They'd done that show. The 1% Club was simply, and Lee Mack is, you know, fabulous, just fantastic, a huge talent, great host. But they'd done that with Chris years ago when they got 100 people and whittled it. It was exactly the same, basically the same show, isn't it?
I remember it very well. It was a huge studio and it had scale, and you know, it was.
Didn't Tim Vine do something like that? No, I went to see Tim Vine was doing a show, and it was at the local theatre around here, and it was called Whittle, and it was a similar concept. And Tim Vine is fantastic. I don't think it went very far, but the pilot, if you like, was really good.
I think that was a very early Channel 5 show, that Whittle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure.
Or did it go further? Maybe I'm wrong.
Tim Vine hosted something on
Channel 5 in a local theatre, and of course Tim Vine is just brilliant.
I might be wrong.
Yes.
So might I. I don't know.
How do you see the future? Because you alluded about 15 minutes ago about Jess Conrad. So in that back then, there's 2 channels, and you'd get the Morecambe and Wise Christmas special be getting 28 million, I think 27, 28 million viewers. Numbers that, well, even on the breakfast show on Capital, we had 4 million listeners. Think about it now with the other radio stations. They'd kill for that.
Yeah.
They'd kill for that. The point is, now that you've got a choice of everything you want, how do you see this going forward in, say, 5 years' time?
Well, it's funny because I studied sociology at A level, and I remember there were 2. Stop me if I'm getting too highbrow here, but there are 2 theories. One is called the wall-to-wall Dallas hypothesis, where they described Dallas as a sort of cheap program, although it wasn't, because it was just, sort of soapy nonsense, if you like. Sure. And the other was the endless choice hypothesis. So I think what we've actually got is probably a combination of both. So you've got, to a certain degree, some trashy shows, but really you've got endless choice, and that means that people don't need to watch linear TV in the same way that they used to. Probably very few people do.
And a short attention span as well, because of social media, a really short attention span, and people are just constantly wanting the next. It must have been very hard to work in the industry because everyone wants the next big thing, and it's so diluted now. It's really, really hard. I mean, those old school days of 28 million people with 2 channels, that's long gone.
I mean, the BBC on
I remember it well.
Night,
the quality threshold, like you said earlier, was there. It really was.
Yeah, it's definitely, times are changing, but of course, consolidated figures is kind of what it's about now, because a drama may only air and get 3 or 4 million or something at the very, very most, and then it'll consolidate to sort of 8, 9, 10 million when everybody's watched it, like Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, for example, which was a landmark drama. The overnights were not astonishingly high, but then everybody watched it on catch up, and actually the catch up figures were higher than the overnight figures. So that's the kind of world that we're living in now. Really, it's not about watching it there and then, it's about having the choice to watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it. So
how do you feel?
A changing landscape.
You produce one of the, I'm going to say, few shows, I know it's a bit of a brave statement, but that are the whole family could sit down and happily watch, which was always the key to Ant and Dec, is that their appeal was, that happens kind of pretty rarely, once in a lifetime. I know they're pushing Stephen Mulhern with the best will in the world. He's never going to be Ant and Dec, because Ant and Dec are Ant and Dec, and you can't replicate it. Whatever they've got is indescribable. Likability. You can't buy likability. You can't fake it. They're just who they are. But there's very few, but you produce with your, when this goes wrong with it, the whole family can sit down and just have a damn good laugh, because it's
the endless things going horribly wrong. And I did tot it up recently, and I had produced 136 hours of things going horribly wrong. So that would probably take you, how long would that take you? A week to watch all of them or something?
I'll work it out for you.
Yeah, I've done everything from magic to live TV, award shows, holidays, cruises. Russ, you were on one that they gave a different name to, and then when it aired, it changed names.
Yeah, they changed the name for some unknown reason. Was it when motorways go raving mad or something?
Yes, it was called something.
That would take you to watch all that. That would be 5.6 reoccurring days to watch all of that.
Wow. Thank you for working that out. That's really both interesting and shocking.
The people that you get on, though, they all seem to be very good sports, because they look at it and go, yeah, what a, like they get it. They're not going, don't show that, and all that. They enjoyed it.
Lovely. It's lovely. I get very, very excited about booking new people, but also booking people that I really like and respect, because I'm the one ultimately that makes the decision about who comes on and who doesn't. So if I'm making a 3-hour show, I'll have 35 people on it, so you can soon get through, as I have 700 plus people have done my shows, which is astounding as well. But yeah, I love picking people that I like and picking, finding people that were famous sort of 40, 50 years ago and saying, right, I'm going to use them, or I'm going to find their clip and get them on to talk about it. We had Nanette Newman. I've had Ian Ogilvy. We've had
to tell you the clip is Darren still alive?
Yes.
Oh my God, he's still alive.
Yes.
Wow.
He's well into his 80s. See, I only work with 80-year-olds, as you can tell.
Yeah, that's it. It's a niche market. Simon Withington, are you under 80? Don't call him. Here's the thing. The clip that terrified me, in all seriousness, it was one of your recent shows. It was Leslie Judd being slapped off a boat onto a lighthouse. And I was sitting there going, holy God, this poor person. It was really scary stuff.
Oh, and we were thrilled because Leslie Judd has not done any broadcasting, as far as I can tell, for some years. And we found her and we flew her over, actually. I think she lives in France now, and so we got her over to talk about that clip. It's a fairly well-known clip from Blue Peter, but the cherry on the cake, of course, is having the person that was involved in it to talk about it. So
it was so frightening.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Loads of people fascinated by this. Hope you've got time. Do you feed them the lines or show them the clips? And, well, I could answer that, but I'm not going to. We'll leave it to the man who creates it and get their views on it from Graham Pack. How does it all work?
What I do is my team and I, because I get stuck in and finding clips, and of course, after having made blooper shows for 25 years, I know where all the bodies are buried. We obviously get given the topic by Channel 5, who commission the show. And sometimes it's a good one, like a nice generic one, like When TV Goes Horribly Wrong, that you could put anything into, like, a daytime show or a quiz show or anything. And other times it's a topic that's very niche and narrow, like When Christmas Goes Horribly Wrong. Well, we're just going to cut out 11 months of the year and just go for December. And it's got to have a Christmas tree and shot. Otherwise, of course, it's not Christmassy. So those ones are really difficult. But we find all of the clips. And then obviously go after relevant talking heads who would basically be associated with that topic. So, I mean, Christmas again is a difficult one. I would pick people that maybe had a Christmas show once upon a time, or a singer, or people associated with Christmas. I don't know why I'm using Christmas as an example.
But it's a good example because if you're not in you see, this is how dumb I am. I'm thinking, that sounds pretty good. And then I suddenly thought, the moment you said, well, I've just cut out 11 months of the year of possible clips, I thought, Jesus, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, it was that was a really
difficult straight away, thinking that's a smart idea. It must be easy. No, of course,
I'm not just filling an hour. That was a 3-hour show, so that's a double feature film essentially. Yeah. So that was a tall order. But to answer the question, we send out the clips in a document which has a sort of a write-up next to a link, and then the contributors all watch the clips in advance, and they get a very stern email from me, as you know, Russ, because you've done one of these shows before, saying you must watch all of the clips, because when we're in studio we don't have any time to show them. Some
very quick. The filming is very quick.
Yeah, but I want everybody to talk about everything, so I've got lots of choices in the edit. Some talking head shows will just basically show them there and then, and they may actually film them reacting to a clip, like that one on Channel 4 that was about the things that it shouldn't happen in the 70s or something, and they would get young people that weren't around in the 70s, and then they'd watch the clips and go, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But that's not my style. I cut the shows really tightly. I want them to feel like you're on a roller coaster and you can't possibly turn over, because there's going to be something great coming next. So there's a sort of art form to anything that looks simple is not that simple, basically. That's my philosophy.
I appreciate that. There's an awful lot that goes into these. To make 1 hour of viewing, there's a hell of a lot.
And I'm making 3.
It's a linear path, but the path is a lot more like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's lovely to have shows on TV, and I really thank Channel 5 for commissioning so many of them, because it came from one show which was called When Magic Goes Horribly Wrong, which I made, and it won an award from Focal. Focal is like the kind of mystery magazine of the week on Have I Got News for You. You never know who they were unless you're in the industry, but it's archive people basically patting each other on the back, and we won an award for When Magic Goes Horribly Wrong. Brilliant. And and it's gone from there. And now,
how many hours a shot for a 3-hour show? Asks Graham.
So for a 3-hour show, I'll have 35 talking heads. So that's 35 hours of interview. Okay. It goes into a transcription service. In the old days, it was somebody that used to transcribe them. I say the old days, 6 or 7 years ago. Now there's a website that does actually do the transcribing for you. I don't know whether you'd call it AI and whether I'll have fingers pointed at me for that, but it's some clever. They can do it.
This.
Yeah, I know the kind of
on
thing.
The YouTube channel. I put it up on the YouTube channel. It comes with a transcription.
Well, it kind of does, because when you said Anton Deck, it came up Anton Deck.
Yes, exactly. Gets things wrong all the time. Exactly. But then my edit producers, who are wonderful people, because they're the ones actually in the edit doing the hard work, will have to sift through 35 hours of interviews and then intercut with footage, the footage that we've got.
Well, I'm thinking in a sense it wouldn't matter, because you could have When Transcribing Goes Horribly Wrong. It would all fit with the theme, wouldn't it? It's
only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before we do that. Yes. So
will you come back with? Well, you come back on your own anytime. You know that. And see, this is commercial television. This is what I love. I don't even have to say anything. Look at that.
Let me put that on the screen for you, Simon. So it's Jess Conrad.
Yep.
From Blitz, published by Oak Tree Books, and it's on Amazon.
Blitz.
Yeah.
It's basically it's on Amazon. It's a hardback. It's an ebook, it's a paperback, and it's a really, really good read, if I may say so myself. Thank you very much.
He should be doing. Is he going to do an Audible version?
Well, I'd like him to, but I must just say Jess is 88. And
you mustn't ask a lady how old they are. You told me that. You told me that.
And I just don't know how long it would take to do it, but I'd love him to do that. And actually,
it doesn't take long. Actually,
does it not?
No, because my daughter did an Audible, just done like a couple of weeks ago, an Audible version of the Self-Care Club book. And I said, "Wow, you're going to be gone for weeks." And I think she and her podcast partner did it in 3 days.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, it's a possibility, because the publishers are fantastic. I found them through an actor called Dave Barry, who was in Fen Street Gang back in the day, and and I found the publishers, and I couldn't be happier with them. Paul Andrews, who owns the company, is a real entrepreneur, and he's got publishing, he's got video games, he's got audio studios, so he's a kind of one-stop.
We like him.
So yeah, he's brilliant.
Like him straight away.
Absolutely brilliant. So I can't believe I found a publisher, because I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't want to go down the self-publishing route. I wanted to do it with a publisher and and have them support
self-publishing.
me.
I know some people that self-publish.
It is, you know, the great myth. What Simon just said, I don't know if you missed it, is the trick is it's not just finding a publisher, but they've got to believe in the project.
Yes.
And they really got to be supportive. And sometimes you can be with a huge, and this has happened with very well-known authors who I will not name, but I was shocked. Huge publishers, your absolute dream, nothing. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. What happens? Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Thanks a lot. I'd have done a better job myself.
Yeah.
This is funny. Make it last comment. Paul Claridge. One of the best nights ever was at the Cinema Museum with Simon and Jess a few years ago, watching Conga, and then Conga. What the hell? I had to wait in line for that. There we go. And yes. Elizabeth Green saying, "Well done, you. Not easy to find a publisher." That is right.
Conga was Jess's film, where instead of Fay Ray being taken up the Empire State Building, Jess.
I wonder what you're going to say there for a second. There, I panicked.
Taken up the Shard. No, taken up the Empire State Building. Jess Conrad, the obligatory pop star, has taken up Big Ben. So it's a real schlock. horror film from the 60s. It's a great, so bad it's good, can't believe they made it
Everybody
film.
yelling,
Brilliant.
drop him, drop him.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says. All the men were saying, bite his head off.
Kill him now. It's been such a pleasure. It's thank you for coming on the show. I
Thank
really
you
do.
for giving me the
really
opportunity, Russ. And
And you are
we've been
welcome.
friends for
Yeah,
a
nice
million
to meet you.
years.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you, Neil, as well. I really, really appreciate it. Maybe you'll come and do one of my shows at some stage.
I've got enough gaffes to fill probably
When
hours.
therapy goes horribly wrong. With Neil, Asa Don Brown, Liz Saul, we're getting them all.
And great what you're
God,
doing
yeah.
with your radio station,
bless you.
Russ.
Thank you. Yeah, we're
It's
trying.
really amazing. Well done.
Thank you so much. Simon, take care. Love to all. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Cheers, my man.
He is
Very
every
quickly,
bit
Graham
as
Pack.
nice.
Are we
Simon is
very quickly?
every bit as nice. I've known Simon. He's the most charming and helpful and supportive and lovely guy.
He's a good man.
Big fan.
Graham, are we Facebook friends? Because if we are, Facebook friend me or email me on my website, neillong.com, and I'll send you something which will make you laugh based on one of your slightly inappropriate comments earlier.
Slightly.
One step ahead of you, mate. We've already thought of this one, so I'll email it to you.
Okay.